Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's March 30th, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day, presented once again by LifeWallet, where the time is now to take charge of your personal health. And Matt, it's never ending here in terms of covering Miami football and Miami football recruiting these days. Every day it seems like you and I are marveling over how much news there just is on a breakneck pace, and we're racing like maniacs to increase our staff so we could just keep covering it all. It's just minute to minute every single day, and a lot of big news in the last 24 hours. We've been talking quite a bit, first of all, about the transfer portal, and linebacker from LSU, Josh White, has entered himself into the portal. Miami immediately offered him. Texas has offered him. A lot of other schools are going to be offering him. And he's a kid that, without question, will be one of the top targets in the transfer portal here in the coming days and weeks. And you had a chance to talk to Josh and give us your impressions, real quick of, where you think he is in the process and how close of a look you think he's going to take to Miami.
Well, I definitely think I'll take a close look, mainly because he's got a buddy, Corey Flagg, on the team. He's heard great things about Miami. Why wouldn't you look? He knows Miami needs linebackers. He talked to Miami coaches already about it. But he's only been in the portal for 24 hours, and he's got no idea what he wants to do. He just knew he wanted to leave. So, but what's interesting is it's almost like if you go out, I don't even know how to put this, but if you go out to dinner and you go to get dessert and you have a cookie that looks great, and you start eating the cookie, then you're like, oh my, look at that brownie, and then someone says, oh, you got to try the chocolate souffle. It's like Miami's just taking guys as they come along because you don't know what's going to come next. After the spring, there's going to be more guys in the transfer portal, but you don't know who they're going to be. They took guys before the spring because they were there. They may wind up having better options at the exact same positions of need in the next month. And then those are just wasted spots. So it's really a balancing act that's difficult. And it looks like basically the Miami staff is just saying, give me all the dessert. I'm not going to just wait for the chocolate souffle. I'll take the cookies. I'll take the brownies, whatever, man. We need help. This is all a cry for help. This is, to me, means the roster is severely deficient on the defensive line and at linebacker. And they realize that, and they're going to take whatever they can do to make it better. And then they'll figure it out at the end of the day with numbers. And if they can't take as many 2023, 2024, 2025 kids, so be it. But they realize what I realized the other day, which is they got to win now because these recruits will not put up with 4 or 5 losses this year. They're going to not come to Miami. And it's a shame, as we talked about yesterday. So in a perfect world, you don't take these guys that you don't really need for the future building of your program. You want to build them with recruiting. They may not have a choice.
Yep. Find help wherever you can. We've been talking about the deficiencies in the roster for years, Matt, and that hasn't changed just because there's a new coaching staff that's come in. New coaching staffs bring all kinds of hope. There is no question this is one of the elite staffs in the country. But the roster needs to be better for their coaching to be able to be impactful. And every minute of every day, they are mining for ways to bring more talent into this program as quickly as possible.
Listen, let's keep it real for a minute, Gary, okay? This kid's a kid who couldn't play at LSU. He was hurt all last year. He's basically an LSU castaway who's going to be at Miami for 4 years. Miami's building some of their depth with guys who are cast off from other programs where they weren't good enough to play at those programs. Let's keep it real. Like, this is not Miami getting a 5-star recruit or 4-star recruit they battled against Alabama and Texas and Oklahoma with and landed them. This is Miami being desperate, and that's okay because they're being desperate in a conference that they can win with LSU cast-offs and Tennessee cast-off and UAB cast-offs. That's not a cast-off, but, a UAB transfer. You guys know what I'm talking about. So this is a short-term fix. Transfer portal is not recruiting. Transfer portal is not a way to win national championships, but transfer portal is a way to win this year and keep the recruits that they think they can get on board. And I'm hoping next year and beyond they will not take more than 7 transfers a cycle, because then you're starting to cut into the way recruiting numbers are now, you're cutting into your 25 after you add 7. So
All right. Well, let me say this, and I'm not going to totally dispute what you're saying because you could end up being right. But I think you're being a curmudgeon again. I think you're being a little overly negative. I think you do not know Matt Shodell.
I just tell the truth. That's how I see it.
Matt, you do not know that this kid is an LSU castoff. Okay, he played in 10 games off the bench in 2020.
Okay, you think if he was starting this year at LSU, he'd be transferring, Gary? Are you kidding me?
How do we know? They have a new coaching staff, Matt. And maybe
no one's going from starting at LSU.
Rod Wright had connections to his high school coach or had connections.
No, he has no connection. Rod Wright has zero connections. I asked the kid that. Listen, it's a new staff, fine. But if you're going to start at LSU, you're not taking a chance of going somewhere you have no idea. He has no idea where he wants to go. You don't just leave and just say, "Oh, maybe I'll go where my old coach went." If you're starting at LSU and you know you're starting at LSU and you're looking good in their system, like these kids, that's not why they transfer. You know, when you look at the past transfers to Miami, either they're coming home because they want to be home, or it's because they weren't getting what they needed at the program they're at in terms of starting.
Legit point, but he was a 4-star recruit out of high school. He had 132 tackles, 24 tackles for loss as a high school senior. He was a good high school football player. Is he better than Corey Flagg or Tyreek Austin Cave and these guys, the Keontra Smith? I mean, we don't know. I mean, and they may not know until he's on campus if he chooses to come to Miami. But the bottom line is that, and I agree. I mean, I agree with a lot of what you're saying, and they are, appearing maybe a shade desperate to find better talent than what they have. But that's the reality of the program right now, especially on the defensive side of the organization. And
let me tell you why they need kids like this, okay? It's not just because he was great in high school, because there's not a lot of film on him from the last 2 years. He had 4 tackles his first year and didn't play last year. But just when you look at his tape from high school and look at what he can do, and just the fact that he's 6'1" and 230 pounds, and you look at the Miami linebackers, and man, they're not big, man. You know, they list Corey Flagg at 5'11" and 230. He's probably more like 5'10". Who else we look at? Tyreek Austin Cave. Okay, I'm looking at the official website right now. They list him at 6'1", 225, which is good size. But that's what they need. You look at some of these other guys. Deshaun Troutman. Somehow they list him at 6'1". I don't understand how you list Deshaun Troutman at 6'1". But you need size at linebacker. You need size, physicality, and speed. And I'm telling you right now, like I don't care what they list these guys at. I watch these guys in practice at linebacker, and they need more size. It's just a fact. I'm sure you agree with that, right? At linebacker, Gary, they need more size at linebacker.
No doubt, and they need better. They need better talent. And it's not just about defense. It's also special teams. So listen, this kid was a 4-star coming out of high school. He was at LSU. Whatever his reason is for leaving, that's great. But I have no problem with them going after him in the transfer portal. I hope they get him. And we'll see what happens here in the coming days and weeks. All right. Something I'm really excited about, much more than Josh White, is the fact that quarterback Jaden Rashada, who is lighting it up everywhere he goes these days, is going to be visiting Miami Thursday and Friday. And we've talked about him on previous shows. He is the top quarterback prospect, we believe, for Miami in this recruiting cycle. And the more we watch him, the more impressed we become. And Matt, I watched this tape. I watched the tape from this past weekend when he competed in a 7-on-7 tournament in Dallas with the Miami Immortals 7-on-7 team. He got to play with Robbie Washington, who is a Miami commit. They've started forming a bond. Robbie Washington is going to meet him at Miami on Thursday. And I think it's safe to say, Matt, the full court press is on Jaden Rashada, Mario Cristobal, Josh Gaddis, Frank Ponce. They want this guy to be their quarterback in this class, and they are on a stampede to find out if that's going to be the case.
Yeah, multiple people have told me they think it's Miami's to lose, and I tend to agree with that. And like when you look at his highlights, those are actually his lowlights. That's how good he is. He only posted his lowlights because he was so good. He don't want to post all the really, really good clips. No,
I'm going to throw him on the screen while we're talking here. I mean, you just watch this guy play, and I mean, his talent.
The reason I'm joking is because it's just kind of funny. My nephew, who's going to be playing basketball at Tufts, he made a highlight tape. You know, it's easy to make yourself look great on a highlight tape if you play enough games. You're going to have enough good plays if you're decent to do what you need to do. But and that's why I don't really just look at highlights. It's, long bombs, touchdowns.
I'm looking at this. I mean, look at the ball placement.
Correct.
This kid
correct.
has.
I like to see the bad. I like to see the bad.
And look how accurate he is throwing down.
I understand. I understand. I like to see the bad throws. That's really what tells me if a guy's good or not. But
yeah, I'm sure he has some bad ones at times. Yeah, you're right. But
talking to the people who know the kid, there's just not a lot of bad throws. That's my point. So he doesn't really have a low light tape. A lot of quarterbacks have low light tapes with their stupid decisions, their interceptions, and their high passes. And this particular recruit does not have a big low light tape if you're going to make a big low light tape, which is why I was joking about that.
I mean, I look at this, he's one of those, and I'm saying passers. This is a kid that could win the Heisman Trophy in college. Like, I'm just watching the talent. You're so negative.
You're so negative, Gary. Why stop at the Heisman Trophy? Why not #1 overall draft pick in the NFL draft?
No, I'm telling you, this guy looks to me like a franchise quarterback in college. I mean, he hasn't even played a senior year of high school yet.
Yeah, and you're already proclaiming he was a Heisman winner.
Listen, I recognize talent when I see it, and I see serious talent here. I mean, this is a big-time player. I mean, I don't understand.
I'm not going to say any high school kid can win a Heisman, but he looks like he should be really, really, really good.
Listen, how could anybody watch this guy and not make him a 5-star? I mean,
well, he's what they call a composite 5-star. I agree. I think he's a 5-star. He'd be a huge addition to the program if they get him. A huge addition. Him, Ja'Cory, and Jake Garcia. That'd be great. That's a great quarterback room if Van Dyke goes to the NFL. Great quarterback room. Great future. I think the kid's the real deal. I'm not as gung ho as Gary about proclaiming him.
I am gung ho,
Heisman
man.
Trophy winner or anything like that. But I could see him being an outstanding quarterback.
Man, I've been pounding the table for this level of recruiting that's going on for years. Okay, and people used to make fun of me and on the boards and stuff. Oh, Gary, you got a man crush on Mario and this and that. No, man. Listen, I knew that if Mario Cristobal got into that office, that it would change everything, and it has. I mean, in just a few months, I mean, everything. It's like you look at what's going on in this football program right now, between the coaching staff that they've hired, between the support staff that they're putting together, between the financial commitment that the university has made, and there was a big contingent that was up there in Chicago for basketball this week that took a trip over to Northwestern University to see their facilities, and they're getting a bird's eye glimpse of how behind Miami is on all this stuff, to even just the most average schools in the country, and there's urgency, and you're going to see, I believe in the near future, an announcement that there will be a major football complex built to the east of Green Tree Practice Field that will start relatively soon. And as soon as they can. I mean, it takes time to get the architect stuff together and the plans and all that. In the meantime, they're building a $5 to $10 million locker room that'll be a temporary locker room for 2 years. So the commitment is there. They're doing everything that they can do, and it's just excitement in every corner of this program right now. And I am thrilled to death with what I'm seeing. I'm so happy that we can come on here and on our website every day and report it to you guys. And
it's great. They've been saving up money for 20 years, underpaying their staff and not changing light bulbs, and now they can finally spend it all and actually do it right. It's wonderful.
Well, look, it's all good, and Jaden Rashada would be a great addition to the program, obviously. So he's visiting Thursday and Friday. We should have more to report to you by the end of the week. On the website today, we've got a story about that. We've also got his coach's take, who says he's a combination of Deshaun Watson and Joe Burrow.
Never heard of those guys.
Couple pretty good comparisons there, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, his coach was effusive, and this isn't his coach. This is his Immortals coach, his 7-on-7 Immortals coach. We're actually trying to track down his head coach at Pittsburgh, California, as well, but very, very effusive. He said, I put this in the story, but he said he thinks Jaden overall is one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the class, and he's not putting Manning in that top 3, which I thought was kind of funny. He thinks Manning's a little overrated, which he probably is. You get a last name Manning. your last name's Manning, you're going to be overrated, right? But this guy's been coaching at a very high level of 7-on-7. He knows what a great quarterback looks like. And he said this is as good a quarterback as he's seen playing against or playing for him. So who am I to argue with that? If Miami gets this, gets Jaden, which I think they will, it's just a huge, huge deal. And we should know more, I think, pretty soon after the visit because, supposedly he may take some more visits, the Oregon and some other schools. I guarantee you Miami is going to not want him to go on any more of those visits. And if he knows it's the right place for him, I'm not sure that he needs to go on those other visits. So stay tuned, I guess.
All right. Today's pro day at Miami. We'll be going out there later this morning and going to be very interesting to see how the guys perform. Let's take a moment and talk a little bit about the Canes that'll be under the gun today. And it starts with Bubba Bolden. And at the NFL Combine, Matt, Bubba ran a little bit better than people expected, 4.47. Yeah. And, I think that puts him in the game a little bit. And that pro day today is going to be huge for him. And right now he's projected as a mid-round pick. He's got the right size that they'll be looking for in a safety. I don't know how much higher because of some of his tape that he's going to be able to go. Can he get to the third round? I don't know. But today, without question, for Bubba Bolden is a huge pro day. Would you agree?
Yeah, look, you know me. You guys know me. I'm not going to just lie and say stuff. Like, this is not going to be a great NFL draft for the Miami Hurricanes. There won't be a first rounder. There won't be a second rounder. If maybe, Charleston Rambo ran a 4.57, which is not good for him at the NFL Combine. Maybe if he can get in the 4.4s, magically, he could sneak into the third or fourth round, but he's a mid or late round pick right now. There's just a bunch of, maybe a couple of mid-round picks right now and a few guys who maybe will be in late rounds, and that's sort of it. But that's okay because a lot of the talent returned, and they've got a lot of young talent on the team. It's almost all first, second, and some third-year players that are on the roster if you look at our scholarship eligibility tracker. So it's okay if they don't have first rounders and can't tell recruits, hey, look at all the first rounders, because they have an excuse, right? There wasn't a lot of recruits that graduated that came out in this class. And they did have a couple of obviously first round defensive linemen very, very recently. And they'll have more first rounders in the future with the new coaching staff. So this was the old staff. This is basically the guys they bought in. And the fact that they're going to be mid to late rounds, just to maybe a handful of guys on the whole team that on the whole graduating class that go, you can sort of just wipe it off in recruiting. Because a lot of times it hurts in recruiting when you don't have a lot of NFL first and second rounders. That's not going to be the case this year. It's not a big deal. New staff, new outlook, new everything. So not a big deal.
All right, today's a very big day for Charleston Rambo as well, Matt. He had a huge season, 79 catches, 1,172 yards, 7 touchdowns. However, that his speed is not overwhelming. I mean, he was a good college player. He got a lot done on the field last year. But unlike Bubba Bolden, he only ran 4.57 when they tested him at the combine. And right now he's like, I think he'll get drafted.
He'll get drafted for sure.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. The ACC Coastal makes some players look a lot better than they actually are, and Charleston Rambo happens to be one of them. If Charleston Rambo's in the SEC, he's not putting up those numbers, even with Tyler Van Dyke as his quarterback. He was able to run by a lot of slow cornerbacks on bad teams and look great. Not that he's not a great player, but NFL grades a great player differently than a college grades a great player. A 4'5", 6'1" guy who can go up and get the ball with a 33-inch vertical over average to subpar defensive backs is not, that's not how the NFL says, oh, we need this kid. So that's why he's being looked at as mid to late round pick. And if he doesn't run in the 4.4s, he's going to stay there.
Yeah, I agree. So today's a big day for Charleston Rambo, no doubt about it. Him and Bubba Bolden probably have the most to gain. Everybody else is probably pretty much fighting for their NFL draft life. When you look at Amari Carter, Navon Donaldson, John Ford.
By the way, let me tell you something. I looked at John Ford. I put together just a little preview for what we're going to be writing later today, because obviously you don't always have time to do all the research and get a story out in a timely manner to you guys after Pro Day. So I started researching some of these guys, actually all the guys who are going to be in Pro Day. And I looked up John Ford's statistics, and they shocked me. He started 8 games last year and had 14 tackles, no sacks.
Mm-hmm.
In 2020, he started 9 games. He had 19 tackles, no sacks.
Mm-hmm.
How is he your starting? How is he your starting defensive tackle?
Because that's the level of talent in the program right now. It is. That's why they're in the transfer portal, looking at every single guy they can. It's not a secret. The talent level of this program has been down for many, many years. And like I said before you interrupted me,
You interrupted me now. I
Amari
was about to
Carter,
talk.
Navon Donaldson, John Ford, these guys are fighting for their draft life. Cam Harris, even Mike Harley, as good of a year as he had the last 2 years, he'll be in that category. DeAndre Johnson, without question. De'Ara King, trying to prove that he could play receiver in the NFL. He's fighting for his draft life. Zach McLeod, Jared Williams. So this is a huge pro day, Matt. And even though this is not like, hey, NFL first round draft pick type of stuff. I mean, we got a lot of former Canes here that are going to be out there on the field today, literally fighting for their future in football. And should be a lot of intensity, and we're looking forward to covering it for you as we move forward today. So you'll see that on the website probably early this afternoon. All right, a couple recruiting things that we've got on the website today as well. A 4-star defensive end by the name of Jordan Thomas from the other Don Bosco, not the one in California we were talking about yesterday. This one's in New Jersey. Jordan Thomas got a Cane scholarship offer. He's calling it his favorite offer to this point. He's very, very interested in Miami, so he'll be visiting without question at some point as the weeks go forward. And then we've been talking so much this week about the American Heritage kids, Matt, and we catch up this time with Mark Fletcher, who keeps loving his time at Miami and thinks he has an idea where he's going to go. Won't tell us that it's Miami. I do think that we also got to see who else Miami has interested. I mean, there's a kid upstate in Orlando by the name of Cedric Baxter, who is a really good running back. And if he wants to come to Miami and Mark Fletcher comes to Miami, I don't know if they take them both or they pick one or the other. We don't really know all that yet at this point. But the good thing is Mark Fletcher right now, his plan is to wait to December. So that buys Miami time in terms of pressure on the take as it relates to other players. And they could see what Cedric Baxter is going to do and then see what Mark Fletcher wants to do. And then they'll have to make decisions on their numbers at running back and how that moves forward. But we sound like a broken record, probably saying this just about every day. But what we are continuing to see is Miami spreading its tentacles, going all over the country, recruiting the best players that they can get interested. Jordan Thomas, very good defensive end from New Jersey. Mark Fletcher, obviously, Broward County, great running back. Matt, it's a pattern here that we're essentially discussing every single day.
I'm going to start calling you Miami Hurricane Hamlet because your soliloquies go on forever, and then you complain when I interrupt you in the middle of your 20-minute soliloquy. I don't even know what I'm supposed to say anymore.
Well,
I will share my thoughts. Listen,
the mic is yours.
Okay, great.
Talk to us.
If you stop interrupting me, I'll talk to you.
Mesmerize us.
All right, I'll mesmerize you.
Captivate our audience because we're 23 and a half minutes into this show, and they might be getting a little restless. So captivate them and bring it home. What do you think?
That's very difficult to do. I'm very bad at captivating and bringing things home, unless it's dessert. I bring dessert home. That's really about it. But in terms of Mark Fletcher, I will say that he's a great person, okay? I've met him. I've talked to him so many times. He's really impressive character-wise. He's a lot of these recruits, they'll Florence you. They won't call you back. They won't talk to you. He's very responsive. And, he when he gives you his time, he'll talk to you forever. He's not one of these recruits where you feel like, oh, he doesn't really want to talk to me, So kudos to him for his character being a top recruit and still treating the media like they're actual people. Not a lot of recruits do that. But with that said, I think they really need recruits like Mark Fletcher, not just because of his character, but because They need that size, speed, power, vision, American Heritage combination. You just need that. This is not a program where you just take one running back in this class. They need 2 power running backs in this class because you got Don Chaney, who's always hurt. He's had 3 injuries, 1 in high school, 2 here. And he's a bigger back. You have Thaddeus Franklin, who I'm not sure really has the speed and all the other things you need here. And then you got Cody Brown, who's probably going to end up transferring. So you got some really nice smaller backs, but you need, in the Mario Cristobal offense that he envisions, he wants a power running attack. And that's why I think you take 2 running backs. I think they will take 2 running backs in this class, and both will be bigger backs. And let them battle it out. There's nothing wrong with that. I haven't gone back through the data, but there have been many years in the past where Miami's taken 2 high-quality running backs in the same class. They don't mind coming together. And a lot of times Miami will use 2 running backs together. You could, if one of them can catch the ball, you put them in the slot, you line them up together in the backfield. It's been done. So we'll see, but I really hope Mark Fletcher is part of this class. I think it's very important, especially considering 3 of his teammates, 2 of them for sure, plan to go to the same college as he does. So that would be not so great with Brandon Innes and Damon Fagan if Mark Fletcher doesn't come to Miami, since they have said they want to play together. And then Damari Brown's sort of not in the package deal situation as much, but I still think he winds up at Miami, even if those 3 don't for some reason. So very important to get Mark Fletcher here. And I do think it's interesting. I've talked to him so many times, and this is the first time he said to me, yeah, I'm pretty sure where I'm going. And this was right after he visited Miami 3 days earlier, 4 days earlier. So I would say that's a good sign from Miami. But again, there's such a long road. They're waiting to announce until signing day, which I'm not a big fan of because I like to get my stories on commitments done earlier, so I don't have to stress about it. Mark Fletcher, are you listening? Just tell us where you're going already. Jeez, what are you waiting for, man? You know where you're going. Let everyone know, bro. Come on.
Let the kid have a little fun, Matt.
No, I'm done with fun. No more fun.
Let's take a moment and hear from our friends at Life Wallet with a baseball twist today.
My name is Yohan Morales, and I am Life Wallet. Hey, yo. Heads up.
It's a home run.
Normally I strike out all my hitters, but I want everyone to knock it out of the park with Life Wallet. Life Wallet could save my life, and it could save yours too.
Life Wallet. Saving time, saving lives.
I had my Life Wallet with me when I went to Chicago last weekend. I was prepared.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
For now, my Life Wallet is my wife. She's a physician. That's my wife wallet. My wife. I got too many kinds of wife wallets. But
And
yeah, look, if she gets annoyed with me, maybe I'll get Life Wallet, but I haven't done it yet. That's I'm not going to lie and say I got it. I do not have Life Wallet. I have wife wallet. She's
those 125 fans that got free tickets from John Ruiz and Life Wallet. They had their Life Wallet too. How about that?
Yeah. Look, if you're into I've lived long enough, Gary. When your time comes, sometimes your time just comes, man.
All right. Well, a lot to absorb on the website today. There'll be more coming. We'll be at it pro day. Like I said, it's a huge moment for all those kids. So I'm sure, like us, we're all pulling for them and hope that they perform to the best of their ability today and give themselves a chance to be drafted with the NFL draft coming up later this month. I guess it's next month. So for Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. We thank you for joining us once again on Good Morning CaneSport. Hope you have a great day, and keep your eye on the website probably mid-afternoon for some of that NFL Pro Day coverage. Have a great day, everybody.